Hello, everyone. Welcome back to ArsenalAura. I'm really excited for today's episode because we've got a special guest from the Leeds United side of things. Joining me today is Adonis from the Roaring Peacock, one of the top Leeds podcasts out there. We're going to look ahead to Arsenal versus Leeds, talk about their incredible 100-point promotion season, some key players to watch, and of course, get some predictions for the game. Adonis, thank you so much for coming on.
Mihai, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. So, Adonis, Leeds came up with 100 points last season. It was one of the most dominant championship campaigns ever. From your perspective, obviously, Leeds started the Premier League with a win, late win against Everton, but combine this start to the Premier League with last season championship campaign, how much confidence does that give the squad going further in the Premier League?
Yeah, I mean, it's been difficult to sort of gauge or predict how Leeds United will do. Obviously, club record points total, and if you look at the expected points or the expected goals minus expected goals conceded, I think Leeds are at the highest. I think it was 1.33, something like that, per game expected. So that's the biggest ratio of a promoted team ever. So I'd say that Farke's side are best placed of any promoted team in history to stay up, but you just don't know, because obviously the last two seasons all the promoted teams got relegated. So it does seem like there's a gap growing. It feels like the Premier League are drifting away a little bit from the Championship, and obviously that's bad for English football. But those sort of gaps are appearing all the way through the football pyramid, in terms of especially owners who are able to invest. So if you look at Birmingham City and Wrexham, obviously they've got new ownership and they've sort of accelerated away. I mean, Birmingham City broke the English Football League points total in League Two because of ownership. So yeah, so obviously the gaps are getting bigger. I'd say Leeds are in with a great chance of staying up.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And you had like a crazy goal difference as well, a massive one. You scored like 90 something, 95 goals, I think, and you conceded like very little compared to everyone. But the difference between goals scored and conceded was very impressive. Obviously, you have Joel Piroe, I think it's his name, finished top scorer. You have one of the best young players in Gnonto, and obviously you had that massive goal on the final day, scored by Solomon. Which player do you think is the most crucial for Leeds to stay up this season?
Well, maybe Ethan Ampadu, and of course he's injured, and it was his meniscus cruciate ligament, so in his ankle, that I think that he's basically ground his studs into the ground, and then he twisted it horribly. He looked in a lot of pain, so he'll be out for at least the next 3 games. So he's our club captain. I think he's extraordinarily underrated. He didn't appear in the EFL Championship team of the season, for example. If you look at a player like Tanaka, the Japanese international midfielder, he's very, very lovely to watch. He's graceful. He's got beautiful skills, but he's also aggressive, and he's got that Japanese culture embedded into him, sort of the attitude of responsibility and pride. So he's one to watch. But I'd say out of everyone, it's probably Anton Stach, and I think you'll be extremely impressed with him. I don't know if you saw the Everton game He's the first Leeds United player to have 4 shots on target and create 4 chances in one game since Rafinha, who's obviously, one of the Ballon d'Or nominees now. And for somebody who's predominantly, was signed in a defensive midfield role, that ability to also have an impact moving forward as well, that you need from those number 8s, I'd say is very impressive. I mean, you'll see him and you might be reminded a little bit of Patrick Vieira. I mean, he is that good. Our 2 defensive midfielders, Ampadu and Tanaka, last season, I thought we were fine in that area. I didn't think that we needed to improve at all in the midfield, but he has absolutely blown me away. I mean, I saw him in Dublin against AC Milan, and I could not believe what I was seeing. He was head and shoulders. I mean, he's also 6'4", but he was also head and shoulders above everybody else on the pitch in terms of talent. He's an exceptionally gifted footballer.
I mean, I think you're completely right. The ability to play in a defensive midfield role and also have the ability to come with attacking prowess, right? Or pop into the right areas of the field and create something dangerous. It's very difficult to find, and it's tough to balance as well. But when you have that, obviously it gives you a little bit of an edge. We're still struggling with trying to identify whether we should play Zubimendi and Rice as a double pivot, in front of the back 4, or Arteta kind of pushes it, Rice more towards an 8, where he's not. It's not that he's not good. It's just that he looks way better in the number 6. But we'll see now that we've signed Eze. Of course, Eze will not be available for the Leeds game. But yeah, we do have a couple of players, but I don't know, they seem to have stagnated a little bit, so looking forward to see if the playing together and the energy of the Premier League, brings a little bit more out of them. So going back a little bit to the Championship, right?
Mihai, can I just say?
Sure.
Did you see the Arsenal Villarreal game? I assume so, on the friendly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I was actually there. I was in the press box. I was there for Telegraph Sport. I was on a placement there. But if you saw at the end, so towards the second half, you guys were chasing the game. I think it was 2-1.
Yeah.
And Zubimendi and Rice were on at that stage, and it was almost like they'd been told to high press, both of them. So they both went ahead. They both high pressed, and they did cause Villarreal's backline a few problems. But when Villarreal were able to pass around it, I mean, it was an absolute free run for I can't remember his name, Dan Juan, or I can't remember his name now.
Is the guy who scored?
Yeah, they're number 9. Yeah, but it was their sort of very, very fast paced attackers against you had one of the new defense centre backs you've got.
Yeah, Mosquera,
and then another
Gabriel, I think. Gabriel was on the pitch,
correct.
But
and
Zinchenko.
He was back. And Zinchenko was sort of left. So it was those 3 against it was sort of man for man against the front 3 who were breaking for Villarreal, and it just looked dangerous every time. So maybe it's just teething problems. Zubimendi's got to get used to the system, but if you press like that against Leeds and you leave open spaces at the back, don't be surprised if we score. We scored, I think, the most goals from counter-attack, despite having the most possession in the Championship. So you wanted to go back to the Championship, so I'll let you ask your question. It's just something I observed.
Yeah, that's a really good observation, because I definitely saw that. Being an Arsenal fan, I took kind of the positive, which was, oh my God, Mosquera is really fast. But that's it, because he managed to kind of get back to their number 9. He obviously managed to score, but I looked and I said, this guy is rapid. But that was the only positive I could find. I saw that. I absolutely saw that. I just hope that Mikel Arteta, being really thorough and doing his homework, I think he'll be tempted to play kind of a high line, a high pressing, because it's the first game at the Emirates, so you're trying to get, the fans behind, and you're trying to create the right positive energy and push the team. But it's dangerous. It's a dangerous game, and we kind of saw that we're a little bit imbalanced. I think I said in one of my podcasts, I said that I think a better balance would be with White on the right-hand side and Timber on the left. I know Timber is not a left back, but he can do a job there, and I think that would be kind of the most balanced, because with Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Kelly on the left, I'm always a little bit nervous, so Leeds might have a couple of opportunities at least. And I think, as it's in every game in the Premier League, you have to take your chances, whether it's Arsenal, whether it's Leeds. When you get those openings, you have to be absolutely clinical.
Absolutely. I want to say as well, I just want to ask you about Nwaneri and Gyökeres. Thought that first half against Villarreal, I thought Nwaneri was absolutely exceptional.
Yes.
He was just, every time he got the ball, and even his movement off the ball, it was just like, I felt like standing up. Obviously, you can't do that in the press box. But Gyökeres I found really interesting, because you guys have, for so long, you've gone without a centre forward. I mean, okay, you've had Havertz, but he always seemed to be drifting over to the right and out of, sort of vacating that sort of classic number 9 space, and it was like you just, nobody was looking for him, nobody found him. He was like a ghost, and the only times that he was able to get on the ball was when he swapped positions with Martinelli. Or, he did that for about 5 minutes towards the end of the first half. He swapped position, and he was able to get on the ball, and he did a wonderful run down the left-hand side. And then towards the start of the second half, he sort of dropped very deep into midfield, and then he got on the ball again. But they're the only real times that I can remember where I saw him in open play, get off the ball, and then sometimes there were a couple of crosses that found him, but he just didn't quite. It wasn't an open chance. So yeah, I wonder about Gyökeres.
Yeah, he should have, like, the saga with him signing him took way too long. He should have had a couple more games and time spent with the squad. And your observations are spot on, because he probably isn't used to do that, right? When he played in the Portuguese league, he wasn't supposed to drop deep or go to another position. He was just occupying the traditional number 9 space, kind of in and around the box, because that's where he's supposed to be. So it's a thing of balancing if he has to adapt to Arsenal or Arsenal have to adapt to him. It's probably a mix, 50-50. He got into some good positions against Manchester United, and he showed strength a couple of times, something that he probably didn't have to show a lot of times while playing for Sporting. But yeah, and he got one better chance where he kind of ran without the ball, but we're not going to talk about that. There's a lot of Arsenal fans, and there's a lot of discussions about him getting on the score sheet for the Leeds game, being at home. And I am an Arsenal fan, so I do hope for that. But it's still a time, like, the connections, there were absolutely no connections between Saka, Odegaard. I think Martinelli a little bit tried a couple of passes to Gyökeres, but they need to create those. And maybe they had time in 1 week, I don't know. But you guys have played on Monday and now you're playing on Saturday. It's a little bit challenging having 1 day less to train. Do you think that's will have an impact or not necessarily?
No, I don't think so. I think if it was an early game, that might have an impact because the stats last season were absolutely ridiculous. So I think out of any kickoff that was before 3 p.m., we have an absolutely terrible record last season. So basically, almost all of the draws and losses, I think both losses that we had, and most of the draws that we had were 12:30 kickoffs. So yeah, and we tend to do better. So I don't know what it is with our squad, whether maybe they're up partying late at night, or you're playing Xbox till 4 a.m. or whatever it is. But yeah, we seem to do better in afternoon kickoffs, and in the Championship it's relentless. So you regularly sort of Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday. So I don't think, I think we can probably play, with this squad we can probably play sort of three games a week, no problems really. Unless you get an injury like we got with Ampadu. But I don't foresee any issues. And in terms of like how I think Gyökeres will match up, I don't know. I think you might find it tough. I don't think that you're gonna. I think if there are Arsenal fans out there looking at Leeds and going, "Oh, we're gonna win 4-0." I don't think you are. I don't think you've been paying attention. The type of players that Leeds brought in over the summer were all to strengthen the defense and midfield, and to sort of increase the general height, but also in terms of comparisons against their counterparts. So whether that be centre back versus centre back, or midfield versus midfield against Europe's top 5 leagues, in terms of interceptions, in terms of physicality, in terms of aerial duels, they're all very, very high, like in the upper 90th percentile against the top 5, Europe's top 5. So it will be a very physical side. Will make it extraordinarily difficult for Gyökeres, especially in the middle, because the way that we've set up this season, it'll be 4-3-3 instead of 4-2-3-1. So essentially, instead of a creative number 10, we've dropped one player back into sort of more of a number 8 role. And then when we sort of coil up in our defensive position structure, that middle of the park is going to be, you're not going to be able to play through us in the middle. It's going to have to come from the wide areas. So that may suit you because obviously Martinelli, Saka, you've got two, extremely skillful players who can make inroads from those wide areas. But if you're going to be relying on crosses, I don't think it's probably not going to work.
And it's not one of Gyökeres' strength, although he did score against in the final game of the preseason. He scored a header, but it's not 100% his game there. And I think you're right. We saw in Arsenal training session, that Arteta played Saka on the left and Noni Madueke on the right, which raised some questions. I don't read too much into that. I would be very, very surprised to see Saka starting on the left and Noni Madueke or Martinelli starting on the right. Although, by doing that, you have an ability to stretch the field to make it wider. So you might get a couple of chances. I complained a lot about this last season when we were having so many injuries and we kept playing the same players in the same positions and we were so predictable. I was kind of crying out loud. I was like, just switch them. Saka on the left, Martinelli on the right. Try something new. So we'll see what happens. I'm not in the category of fans that thinks this is going to be a walk in the park, a stroll in the park. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be physical. I think Gyökeres will have a tough time. And he said in an interview, not him, I think his Brighton manager from since he played in the Championship, he said that he got pretty frustrated if he didn't score 2 or 3 games in a row. So I'm a little bit worried for that not to become a thing for him, because he needs to give himself time to create some connections. And I think as we mentioned at the beginning of the recording, that Daniel Farke has done a tremendous job, especially at the back, right? And you said now that you guys made some purchases in the defensive areas and then the defensive midfield areas to strengthen that core. Do you think that's his biggest strength as a coach, the defensive side of things? Like he managed to get a side that doesn't concede a lot of goals, and you have the players, as you mentioned, that can pop in various areas with attacking threats.
So biggest strength, right?
Yes.
That the sort of implication of that is like what differentiates him, specifically from other managers, right? I think it's more his firstly his passing play. So obviously we scored an enormous amount of goals last season. So the way that we did that was by controlling games and having like sort of lovely movement off the ball. And so those nice runs. So I think there's an element of training to his managerial style, which is very, very good. So he drills the players into these passing lanes and movement off the ball. So that's also being able to impart knowledge, right? But it's also motivation. I think his interpersonal skills, his man management, is probably the one thing that differentiates him from other managers. So when I say like they've strengthened the defense, they've strengthened the midfield, and they were very, very solid, and they conceded the least amount of expected goals conceded, XGC, in the Championship. So even better than Burnley, really. The only reason why Burnley had a better goals conceded record was because they had a wonderful goalkeeper who's now at Manchester City. So if we had Ilya Meslier, he made a lot of errors last season. If we'd have had a different goalkeeper, we would have broke several more records, I would say. So yes, he's very, very good at defense, but there are, Mourinho or Rafa Benitez, or there are other managers who are better, or let's say their style was more focused on defense. I would say the thing that differentiates Farke the most is that he's always positive, and he's got consistent energy, and he imparts that very well onto his players, and he keeps players happy and in line, and he keeps that morale a good group. So for example, he won't sit 2 nationalities next to each other around the dining table when they all eat. So that there's that constant, the players are constantly being forced to bond together as a group and to get over those, personal differences. And he's just very, very good man manager. So I'd probably say that's his biggest strength.
That's a piece of information I didn't know, and I think it's really good for helping the squad to bond and create connections and not have just two or three guys that you're really friends, or you have a really good connection, and with the others so and so. I think Arsenal against Leeds, we kind of have a little bit of history, right? And uh, we had the moment. Have you been to the 2012 game, the FA Cup third round, where Thierry Henry scored?
No. I was in Australia.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember that anyway. What I remember is I remember the 1972 FA Cup final.
Oh, wow.
I remember that FA Cup.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but my granddad was.
Yeah. Okay. So, do Leeds fans still see Arsenal as a big rivalry game, or is it just more about surviving in the Premier League this season? How do you feel this?
Yeah, no. So I've always had a soft spot for Arsenal. So our main rivals are Manchester United and Chelsea, and so because we've sort of hated those two teams together,
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Then there's always been sort of a respect, I would say, between our two clubs. I remember, obviously our only FA Cup win, was against you guys. I think we won the League Cup in '68, maybe against you as well. And I was at the Champions League semi-final against Valencia. If we'd have won that, we'd have played you in the Champions League final as well, which would have been another great chapter in the history of our two clubs. But 1998, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, diving header at the far post to deny you the title. I think everybody thought we were going to sort of roll over and let you win, so that Manchester United didn't get the title. But that was a sort of interesting game and dynamic. The Ian Wright goal is something that is burned into my memory, and I'll never forget. Such a wonderful player, such a wonderful human being. You find out later, but that goal was unbelievable. And I was a striker myself, as a kid, and definitely one of my idols. So yeah, and obviously hated Man United, and the only team really when I was a kid growing up that were going to that were in a position to pip them to the title was you guys. So I did find myself supporting Arsenal a lot. Second team.
The most of the the memories or the games against Leeds are Leeds stopping Arsenal in their title challenges. So yeah, there's something there. I'll guess we'll wait and see how things pan out on Saturday. All the games that have a little bit of edge bring more to the game. So that's always beautiful to see.
Of course, as well, we'll be wearing the same kit that we're paying homage to from the 2003 match where Harry Kewell scored and Viduka scored a wonderful goal, and we won 3-2, I think so. So yeah,
that will be something to see. Can't wait for the game, man. What's your score prediction? Let's try this.
Ooh. Score prediction. So they're always very difficult, especially with Arsenal, I'd say, because Arsenal are a sort of Jekyll and Hyde team. The consistency is your biggest problem, I'd say. If you were consistent, you'd have won the league at least one of the last 3 seasons. So it's very difficult to predict. In terms of intensity off the ball, I'd say that's the biggest thing that you've lacked, and you might have you might have done well in getting Zubimendi, because he obviously brings a lot of intensity off the ball. I'd say if you turn up and you're intense, there's no reason why you shouldn't win, really, because of the amount of money that you've spent, and the quality that you've got on the pitch. And maybe 5:30 p.m. kickoff. First home game of the season. Maybe you're going to get that buzz from the crowd.
Yeah.
So it's going to be close, but I'd say probably 2-1 Leeds.
Leeds.
I've got to back my own team, man. I've got to back my own team.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was just surprising is you made such a intro to everything, and then 2-1 Leeds, and I was like, okay, man, that's great. That's great to hear.
It's going to be 38 wins this season.
Who knows, man? I mean, you have to support your team. I hats off to that. I think we'll concede against you guys. I think we'll concede. Hopefully, it's just a 1. So I'll reverse the score. I'll say 2-1 Arsenal, but I don't think it's gonna be easy. I think Arteta knows that, and I think he'll prepare with something like a speech, a light bulb, or wherever he gets out of his rabbit, out of his magician hat, because we don't have to underestimate no teams, especially you guys who came on, and you will fight till every single ball.
Big pressure. Arteta's under now. He's spent all the money.
Yes.
It's a long-term project. He's got the final pieces of his puzzle, especially with Eze and Gyökeres. So if he's under big pressure, so that might change. That might change him. You never know.
Sometimes pressure brings errors as well in judgment. So because you're under pressure and you want to make things click, and if they don't, then there's nothing you can do. You might make mistakes in judgment. So let's see. Let's finish with a quick fire question, just the one.
Yep.
Which Arsenal player from our current squad would you most want in the Leeds first 11?
Saka.
That was quick. That was quick, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's either him or it's probably just him. The thing about him is, or maybe Eze. But I mean, yeah, you've only just bought him. So the thing about Saka is he's consistent. He is he's not injury prone. Touch wood for you guys. He's very, very skillful. He's the face of a generation, I'd say. So there are a million school kids who want to be Saka, and he's just somebody who excites me. He's like a talismanic figure. He's been through so much in his life and in his career. So I'd say him. He looks the part. Like he's somebody who you get up off your seat, and every time he gets the ball, and he looks like something. He could make something happen. The other one would be Nwaneri for the very similar reasons, and obviously Max Dowman, whose ceiling is just astronomical. I mean, you don't know at this stage what a player is going to be like, but he could be as good as Messi or anything like this. The sky's the limit with him, because when you're that good, that young, I mean, I've never seen somebody that young be this good. I've seen Alan Smith come on for Leeds United and score against Liverpool. I think he was 16, 17. I've seen James Milner come on for Leeds against Chelsea when he was 16 and score. But neither of them, even though they were very, very good at a young age, neither of them were making fools of of people twice their age, of having sitting defenders down on their arse, and just making absolute fools of them, ending their careers like Dauman is at 15 years old. So I'm very envious of him. But I think that reflects on where I see Leeds United's weaknesses. I see our weaknesses in the forward line, in the front line, in players who can make something happen. And Eze is another example of that.
Yeah. I think you're right. I don't know how much we'll see from Max Dauman or even Nwaneri. I hope Nwaneri will get some more time. But I think you're right. For me, what strikes me the most with the likes of Nwaneri, Miles Lewis Kelly, Dauman, and their children. They're 15, 16, 17 years, 18 years of age, and they're acting and playing like they're 20 plus. And I'm trying to think what I was doing when I was 15, and to play in front of 60,000 or 40, 50, whatever thousand fans, and just playing with such a nonchalance and maturity. It's something that I don't know if someone teaches them or guides them, or they just have that in them. But it's amazing to have, and they obviously can have bright careers if they stay humble.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's absolutely taught, and you're absolutely born with something, but it's absolutely taught as well. And we've all, anybody who's played football at any level will know the value of coaches and coaching. And you can be so impressionable at such a young age. If you get told or taught the wrong thing, it can knock somebody's confidence back for years. So it's vitally important that you get a good coaching. So he must have got that at Arsenal. So yeah, hats off to the coaching team as well.
Thank you so much, Adonis. I think it's okay to wrap things up here. We'll see what game we'll have tomorrow. We'll see the score line and everything else. Big thanks to Adonis for joining me today. Please, can you tell the people where they can find you? I'll put them in the description as well, but just to wrap things up.
Sure, yeah, you can find me at the Adelites on Twitter if you want to follow me. I'm a budding young journalist, so I mostly tweet about Leeds, but occasionally I'll be reporting on other teams. So yeah, as I said, like I was at the Emirates, very beautiful stadium, very impressive stadium, and the Roaring Peacock Podcast is our Leeds United themed pod. It's a bit of fun, really. It's just some middle-aged white guys chatting about football like you might do in a pub. So it's very, very casual. And yeah, you can hear about our lives there. Thanks.
Yeah. Make sure, guys, you check the Roaring Peacock podcast for more Leeds content or football content. Links will be in the description. Adonis, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much once again, and we'll talk after the game.
Thanks, Mihai. Come on, Leeds.
Come on, you guys.